These are 21 must-have RV campsite setup gear. Just the essentials that you need to get out there and camping right away. Plus I'll share the top mistakes that many new and even experienced RVers make when they are setting up their campsite with this equipment. Do you have all of this? And how many of these mistakes do you still make, even if you're an experienced RVer? Let's find out. You can get our free campsite setup and teardown checklist by following the link down in the description. First thing you need, and first mistake, you need a headlamp. I never plan on arriving at night, but sometimes it happens. That's a mistake, but if you do, you need to have a headlamp like this one because it gives you the ability to use both hands for setup, but also you don't have to hold on to a flashlight for that, or like your cell phone to be able to see. So a headlamp like this is a must, and you can put it on this mode to let everybody know you're here. And next up is a level. This is a kind of a fancy electronic one. You don't need to go this fancy, but you can use it both manually and the electronic version right here. And you just attach this to your RV. That way it lets you know if you are level or not. Why do you need to be level in your RV? Well, it feels weird if you are not, like being in a fun house. Plus, the mistake that many RVers make is that your appliances won't work properly. Hey! Won't work properly if you are not level, like your refrigerator. I'm Tom with EnjoyTheJourney.Life. Hit that subscribe button so you catch one of our upcoming videos. That's 50 free places to park your RV overnight. That's coming out soon. What's next? A set of wheel chocks. You will need 2 of these for each side of your RV so you block both sides of the tire. We put it on our middle tire since we have a triple axle, but these are a must. Now, how do you get your RV level? Well, a lot of different ways and tools. Depends on how your RV is configured. There could be manual or auto leveling, but these are some of the things that we use. These are a must-have. We love our RV snap pads. In addition to the RV snap pads, what we've recently added are these Stromberg Carlson buckets right here. Because one of the issues that we've had on multiple occasions is, even though we have the Lippert automatic leveling system, on really uneven ground, our front jacks will go the extent of their height and air out, and we won't be able to level without some additional leveling capability. That's where these come into hand, so that it gives the jacks a little bit more room to extend. Plus it's more stable because your jacks aren't maxed out. So these right here we are now using for our front jacks. I don't think we're going to have that auto leveling problem anymore where our jacks get maxed out. Plus you can use these with a travel trailer tongue jack as well for extra support, and they can be doubled up if you need to. These will stack together. Just like that. And of course, you can go old school and cheap if you want to. This is what I started out with, just simple wood blocks individually to protect the concrete or the surface from your jacks coming down, or to build up however high you need to go to help level your RV. They're not pretty looking, but they get the job done, and they get it done for cheap. Let's move on to power for your RV. Now, most RVs are going to either have a 30 amp for smaller RVs or a 50 amp connection to your RV park or campground. First off, RV parks and campgrounds may have some crazy erratic power, and they can actually harm your RV appliances. So another must-have is a simple or basic surge protector. This is the one I use. It's not like super advanced like some of them out there, but I feel like it gets the job done. So a basic surge protector like this one. And you can get them for both 30 or 50 amps depending on what your RV takes. So obviously the first mistake with RV power is not using one of these. But there's a couple others I will mention right now in advance. Is when you plug this in and plug in your RV, make sure you turn the breaker on at the end after you've already plugged in your RV. You don't want a surge to go through your RV and damage anything. Also, what you can do is take this in advance before you even pull into your campsite and check the power to make sure it's good. This has happened to us on more occasions than I can possibly count. RV parks and campgrounds, again, can have bad power, or the power may not even work at all. So this will help to tell you before you set up your campsite and go to plug in your RV and realize you've got bad power and you may have to move. So you can take this in advance when you scout out your campsite, make sure you've got good power. So get yourself one of these. So depending on what kind of power your RV takes, you need your main power cord. I like to go with the nice long one. They are hefty. This is the 50 amp right here, or you could have a 30 amp. And even though this thing is 36 feet long, I still need the extension sometimes. I've got another 10-foot extension right here that I use every so often. You just don't know where your hookups are going to be necessarily. You may have a little ways to hook up your power, so highly recommend having an extension that matches your power cord. And the mistake that goes along with power cords is not checking the distance before you park your RV and disconnect. So if you don't have an extension, make sure your power cord will reach before you disconnect. Along with your power cords are having the adapters to make different kinds of power situations work. For example, this is a 30 amp connection which matches our 50 amp cord. Some RV parks and campgrounds will only have the 30 amp, so you've got to use this adapter right here. Now, in case I'm mooch docking and only have 15 amp power to work with, I can't power a lot in the RV, maybe the refrigerator and one air conditioning unit if I'm lucky, but you've got another little adapter that connects here so that you can even use just a standard 15 amp circuit at a house, for example. I guess if you had an RV park with that kind of power, that would work, but I've never seen one with just a 15 amp circuit before. It's important to have backup to these items as well for several different reasons. Some of these can wear out or break, spring a leak, something like that, or you might need the extra length, for example, like with water hose if you have to go an extra long ways. Plus, you might forget one of them at a campsite, or they could grow legs and walk off. Yes, that kind of stuff does happen. Or you can actually save another RVer's day that might need a power cord, for example. And actually, yes, I did that. I've loaned out my spare 50 amp cable to another RVer that left the dealer and did not have a cable. So lots of reasons to have a backup or a spare just in case. Let's move on to fresh water for your RV and several mistakes that you can make around this area and things you need to have. The first one is a water pressure regulator. And why do you need this? Well, another thing that varies a lot is the water pressure at RV parks and campgrounds. And if you don't have one of these, too much water pressure can damage the hoses or pipes in your RV, so you definitely want to have one of these. And moving on, you don't want to just use a garden hose. That's the next mistake. You want a fresh water rated hose, because that means that it doesn't have any of the nasty chemicals in it, so it's safe to drink, at least whatever is in the hose. Now, that doesn't speak for the water itself, and that's where the next item comes in. So again, that's a mistake, using a garden hose instead of a fresh water hose. And the next mistake is not having a fresh water filter like this. This is very basic and really cheap. There are more expensive systems out there, but again, we're just talking about the basics. You want to have this to filter out any of the bad stuff in the water. Now how about a freshwater item that I don't use anymore because my RV doesn't have the fitting for this anymore? It's got a threaded fitting instead of just an open hole to fill the freshwater tank. You can use an item like this to fill your freshwater tank if you're going to be dry camping or don't have a freshwater connection at your campsite. Maybe you have to fill it up with fresh potable water at a dump station with something like this. So you'll want one of these if this is the connection your RV takes. A regular hose will work fine if you have a threaded fitting like what we now have on the Momentum. Now, if you want to know pretty much every possible setup mistake that you can make, we have another video I'll link below. It's 43 RV campsite setup mistakes. And I think I've covered pretty much all of them, or at least the comments below that video, people have added the mistakes that they've made. We also have a couple more videos I will link to as well, and that's the complete campsite setup and teardown videos where I go step by step setting up a campsite from the very beginning. So check those videos out. Now let's talk about everybody's favorite subject, your wastewater area of your RV. You are going to want to have some kind of sewer additive like this one right here, that after every dump you add one of these, just flush it down your toilet and add several gallons of water, and that will help take care of the breakdown of the solids and also toilet paper as well. And speaking of toilet paper, you want RV safe toilet paper like this right here. Why doesn't regular toilet paper work? Well, some people argue that it does, but this stuff is supposed to break down easier, and it's made specifically for that so it doesn't cause any problems in your black tank. And that's RV safe toilet paper. And next, with dealing with your wastewater, you want to have disposable gloves before you handle any of your sewer hoses or the handles. This is just very basic one-time use gloves here. Giant hands here. Just like these right here. Yep, they are thin, not meant to last very long. You just use them once and then you throw them away. I've actually gotten away from using these because it is extra waste, and I'll show you what I'm using now. And this is what I'm using right now to handle the sewer hoses and anything associated with that. These reusable gloves, and I think in the long run they will save you some money. So what is the RV campsite mistake around this one? You can probably guess. It's handling these items without gloves like this. You might be saying, ooh, this is a brand new hose. I can only do this once. When you're camping long enough, you will see people do this. And it's like, ooh, gross. Yeah, you don't want to do this. And yes, next up is a sewer hose. You want a good one. And actually, I'm not going to recommend this one. What's wrong with it? Well, it doesn't have the clamps to hold it together. It just goes together with pressure, and I'll show you what I mean. These just push in like that, and I'm thinking, what stops it from that happening since there's no clamps? So I'm not going to recommend this one. I will put links down to one that we use and do recommend though as well. But make sure you have some sewer caps like these, highly recommended. And you need to have all the other extra fittings like this threaded 90-degree elbow here so it goes properly into your sewer connection at your campsites, and any other connections that you need, like one that we use all the time. If you have 2 sewer connections on your RV, you're going to need a Y like this one so that you can feed both of them into the same connection, because most campsites only have 1 sewer connection. There's a few I've seen out there with 2 and you could get by without this, but most of them only have 1. So the mistake around sewer hoses, besides handling them this way after they've been used, is to not have enough of them. Many campsites, I have had to use 4 and 5 of these to make it to the sewer connection. And these go bad as well, so don't plan for these to last forever. So once they spring a leak, you're going to want to toss this and use a new one, because leaking sewer hoses are no bueno. What's next when it comes to dealing with your wastewater? Well, that's a sewer hose support. This is all nice and neat, ready for packing up, but essentially the issue is gravity. You want gravity to be your friend, not your enemy. If you don't use one of these and your sewer connection at your RV campsite is elevated, and most of them are, you won't have a smooth gravity to let that wastewater drain easily. So by using one of these, it will allow all of that wastewater to gently and easily go into your campground sewer connection. Now let's talk about a wastewater item that I have never ever used, and that is one of these. It's called a donut, like with not a good name, but it's actually a seal that if you don't have one of these elbows here, that can help you make a nice airtight seal if you're using just a plain hose connection like this. And I guess I've always used one of these, and I've never had a situation where I've needed a donut. These are cheap, and I guess I hang on to it if there's ever a situation where I could use this, and I've always got it just in case. But that's something I've never used. And I'm also going to mention a hitch lock like this. This is for a fifth wheel like what we have, but they also have these for travel trailers. It's just nice peace of mind because these are inexpensive. Anytime you're going to be away from the RV, you can have your RV locked up just in case. I think it's an RV must-have. And that's it. That's everything you need to get out there and start enjoying RV camping right from the get-go. There are certainly other items that you can have, upgrades, modifications, and we've got lots of videos about that stuff. We'll link those videos down below. Again, most of these items are from eTrailer. They have 110% price match guarantee. All of the links are down below. Plus they have live product experts you can talk to on the phone for questions. So thank you for using our links to order any of the items that you need. So do you have all of these? Let us know in the comments. And how many of these RV setup mistakes have you made? Comment down below or add your other RV mistakes. Again, you can get our complete campsite setup and teardown checklist with the link down below. Plus we have the matching videos for that, where our complete RV campsite setup and complete RV campsite breakdown videos, plus 43 RV campsite setup mistakes, where I've tried to cover all of the setup mistakes that you could make. All of those links will be down below in the description. Did I miss any basic RV setup items? Make sure you comment down below on those as well so others can learn from your experience. And we are having public meetups again. There will be a link down below for the very next meetup. We hope to see you in person or see you on the road. Either way, safe travels, and remember to enjoy your journey. Take care, guys.
Head for the sun, follow your footsteps, edge of the world, right to your doorstep, home, anywhere you wanna go, beyond the stars.